the School Board of West Bend Joint School District Number 1. More than 24 hours prior to this meeting, the notice of the time, place, date, and subject matter of the meeting was posted in each school building, the entrance doors at the Educational Service Center, and at the West Bend Community Memorial Library. Copy was also sent to the Daily News, WBKV, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and other media sources who have requested notice of our meetings. Deb, can you confirm this meeting was properly posted?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We've got a pretty exciting agenda tonight. Hopefully board members have had an opportunity to review that. And with that, I will move to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Any questions on the agenda? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. We've got an agenda tonight, and let's start with some exciting recognitions, and let's have some fun here tonight. So thank you very much for everyone who is here in the room tonight, celebrating some cool accomplishments by coaches and teams. But first, I want to see if Carol Davis and Corey McKiska are here. If you are, let's have you stand right in front of me and face the crowd. I'm going to tell you first a little bit about Carol. Carol is the administrative assistant at Fair Park, and she's been an employee of the district for 25 years. Carol is the heartbeat of the school. She's the first person people see when they come to Fair Park. Carol sees everyone at their best and their worst and loves them all the same. She jokes when people need a laugh, she is quiet when people just need to vent, and she is unconditionally giving when people are in need. Carol is the queen of innovation. When there is something that needs improvement or replacement, she will do everything she can to get it done. The most recent quest is grants being sought to get the students new playground equipment. She also does this with field trips. Carol is a rare treasure of a human being with her sense of empathy and ability to remain unjudgmental while giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. Her calm demeanor during such an interaction often helps the person to feel someone cares about them and their feelings. Carol is reliable, kind, diligent, wise, and purposeful in her relationships with everyone who is blessed by her presence. She is a huge asset and valuable member of the Fair Park family. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about Corey. Corey is a custodian at Jackson Elementary School, and he's been employed with the district for 17 years. Corey's support of the learning environment is exemplary. He does whatever he can to help create and maintain a successful learning space. He constantly assesses the environment to make sure all is in order and safe for students and staff inside and out. He tirelessly shovels snow, salts, blows leaves, and removes curious objects. Corey, aka Mr. Corey to the students, is a positive mentor and role model. Every kindergarten to fourth grade student looks up to him. Each of them gives him a high five as they leave the lunchroom. Mr. Corey takes the time to enlist little helpers in the lunchroom and takes sensory movement walks in the mornings with students that need a little extra start to their day. He has been instrumental in helping implement a plan to help some of the students with special needs earn time to help Mr. Corey with his daily tasks or projects. None of this is in his official job description, but it's in his character to go above and beyond. Corey may not know it, but his mentoring of the students is one of the greatest gifts to Jackson. Every great achiever is inspired by a great mentor. Thank you to Corey for all you do for the Jackson school community. So Carol and Corey are recipients of our Support Staff Employee of the Year Awards, and I want to congratulate and thank them for all their hard work.
If Mrs. Davis doesn't want to speak on her own behalf, I think there's someone else in the audience that would like to speak.
You bet. Let's do it.
That's me. Yeah, it's you. Hey, I'm Tristan Hayes. I'm the new principal of Fair Park Elementary. Coming on as a rookie. Rookie principal is a big deal. I've had a lot of mentorship and a lot of awesome people to help me, but there is nothing like the supportive, loving hand of Carol Davis to really help me out, and she has been amazing. She is a true treasure and a treat, and this is like all I could have ever asked for everyone here to hear. just how much she needs to care for. So, one more round of applause for Mel Davis.
Awesome. Cool. Congratulations to both of you. Now I want to move on to Lori Lenners, Julie Jackwit, Richard Prost, and Jody Weigelt. Right here in front, face the crowd, and I'm going to talk good about you. Let's start with Lori. Lori's a second grade teacher in Jackson. Doesn't say how long you've been with the district.
21 years.
21 years. Lori is a spark of enthusiasm for her students, her co-workers, and the committee members who work with her. She brings a joy for being able to learn new things and to do things differently so she can improve. She works so hard to help her students learn, yet be accountable for their own learning too. Lori's classroom operates like a well-oiled machine where students are held responsible for their actions and learning. Last year, Lori volunteered to move from teaching 4th grade to 2nd grade. Changing grades involves a ton of effort and time. Lori's words were, "I don't want to be one of those teachers who just sits pretty the last few years and coasts into retirement. I want to be challenged and try new things. I never want the joy and excitement of teaching to escape me." This initiative and drive to never get complacent is something that shows what a kind human being Lori is. Lori puts in countless hours outside of the day to make sure that she is prepared so that the students have what they need. She helps plan and organize activities for the grade level and for the students' PBIS committee. Lori developed and led the rollout of the Golden Paw Award. The Golden Paw recognizes and celebrates students who continually follow the JJ way and make good choices all semester long. This award was in the talks for several years, and with Lori's initiative, it finally was put into place. Lori's not only an amazing teacher, but a fantastic person who just brings life to those she works with each day. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about Julie Jackwit, who is a speech and language teacher at Rolfs and at our Jackson, what am I trying to say? 4K site, and also at, don't you have a third location you're at? Living Word, that's right. Julie exemplifies what a top-notch speech and language pathologist should be like in her actions with students, staff, and community members. Each school year, she strives to learn new and innovative strategies in the field and eagerly shares them with her colleagues and families. Julie enthusiastically accepts changes in the system and dedicates herself to meet each new challenge. Julie values the insight of parents and all of the staff members she works with. She is very engaging, developmentally appropriate, and kind. She builds on individual strengths and uses that to motivate children to learn and improve communication skills. She recognizes and celebrates all levels of student success. Julie strives to make her students independent thinkers and communicators, as well as lifelong learners. Julie truly cares about her students, not only in the area of speech and language, but in the whole child. Julie has phenomenal ideas for working with children with autism, social, emotional, and behavioral challenges, articulation delays, and so on. She makes sure her students are included in the regular education setting as much as possible and strives to set them up for success in every way that she can. Julie makes learning fun for all of her students. She's an amazing colleague, team member, and friend. She has a positive attitude, demonstrates care for her colleagues, and does everything she can to help out those she works with. She is extremely flexible and solution-focused. She is a treasure. Now, Richard Prost, science teacher at East High School for how many years, Richard? 18 years. Richard is a fantastic teacher who dedicates himself to his students' success. Balancing coaching, being a father, and a pizza delivery guy, he always makes sure to make his students his first priority. Mr. Prost brings unmatched enthusiasm and engagement to the classroom. He has done unique projects like an egg drop, egg smash, rubber band car, toothpick bridge, and Rube Goldberg machine. Rube Goldberg machine to exemplify the things students are learning. You'll have to tell me about that later. Richard is a very caring teacher. Teaching a class as challenging as AP Physics, students often get overwhelmed with the difficulty. However, Richard's understanding and availability help alleviate the stress. He's patient and his students cares for each one, making sure they each know the material they are currently learning. Richard can work with any student at any level. He challenges the student who excels in his class and gives a large amount of help to a student who is struggling. He will stay hours after school to help students with their work, and he never hesitates to do so. He is always looking to improve on his teaching and asks for students for feedback on how to improve. Richard is by far one of the most talented, helpful, and passionate teachers at the high school. Without his dedication, his students would not be nearly as successful. Now, Jody, 6th grade at Silverbrook. How long have you been with the district? 34 years. 2 of these ladies are retiring soon, unfortunately, and you're one of them, I hear. That can change. We've got the right people in the room to make that happen. If you look up Jody Weigelt in the dictionary, you might see this: a kind, caring, genuine educator who cares about the well-being of all students. Jody's passion matches her level of enthusiasm and dedication. She is always pushing herself to learn more, take a new class, try a new method, or adopt the curriculum to meet the needs of the students and teams she works with. She smiles, and encouragements are contagious when you are with Judy, in Judy's presence. I'm trying to read fast, sorry. Let's start that one over. Smiles and encouragement are contagious when you are in Jody's presence, and this is due to her high level of passion for what she does. Jody is a leader in the Silverbrook Math Department. She is a member of the Silverbrook leadership team, where her leadership style is to lead by example. Jody continually updates her practice, making it more and more engaging. A visit to her classroom is a study in how to reach a variety of students. She differentiates her instruction to meet needs each and every day. More impressively, her students set individual goals in addition to the classroom data tracking that she does. Another way that Jody leads is with her willingness to try new things. After many years in the classroom, some teachers do the same thing every year. Not Jody. She is the first to try new things. She was one of the first teachers to adopt CLS and become a CLS classroom. Jody was a member of the first 6th grade team at Silverbrook to become a personalized learning house. Most recently, she is an early adopter of the standards-based assessment. Jody strives to learn more, know more, try more, and grow more. To teach is to inspire, and that is what Jody does each and every day for her students. So, these 4 incredible educators in front of you were nominated by their peers to be the Teacher of the Year, which is an award that we've had in the district for a long time, sponsored by Claire Rolfs and the Rolfs Family Foundation. And when they're nominated, obviously it's what I read as part of their nomination, the winners from last year actually picked the winners this year. So not only are they nominated by their peers, but they're chosen by their peers to receive these awards. And it is quite an honor to have 4 incredible educators in front of us, and I know all 4 of these people fairly well and can attest to all the words I just read. So on behalf of the whole board, the administration and district and community, thank you very, very much for what you do for our kids each and every day, and congratulations. Sorry, my reading was a little fast there, but like I said, those 4 teachers are incredible. We're going to miss 2 of them who are retiring soon. I was with the administration the day that these guys found out that they won these awards, and all of their colleagues are around them, and then Claire Rolfs comes out and she says, "I'm looking for Jody," or "I'm looking for Mr. Prost," and they just flip out. So anyway, congratulations. Let's move on. You doing this next one? I think you are. We're going to recognize Coach Pittens.
All right, we'll give you a break there, Joel.
Thank you.
So I have the honor of talking about the PIC Coach of the Year Award. And for some of you, you may not know the background on it, so I'll just give you a brief preview here. This award was established in 2015 by Prudence Pick Way, granddaughter of Carl Pick. It is meant to recognize the West Bend High School's athletic team coach whose character and accomplishments during the school year best exemplify the following criteria as recognized by his or her peers. The coach selected for this award is a positive role model to students in all respects. He or she has demonstrated consistent and outstanding sportsmanship, leadership, and a positive and motivational attitude, is committed and dedicated to the team's overall development over the entire season, coaches at the highest standard throughout the season, ensuring the team's success, always demonstrates that the success and well-being of each student under his or her guidance and coaching is his or her highest priority. Coach Joe Pittens, if you could come on up here next to me, has served as a teacher in the district from 1974 to 2009 and has over 40 years of coaching experience at various levels. We are honored to have Coach Pittens leading the West Girls Basketball program. He's admired by his colleagues and well respected in the school community. Joe Pittens is absolutely one of a kind. I've only been here since late August, and he's done a tremendous job. And it's my pleasure to present to you our 2019 Pick Coach of the Year, Joe Pittens. Thanks, buddy.
Joel, I noticed you're trying to move things along. You were
That's all right.
moving
Take
rather
your time.
rapidly. And my athletic director told me I was supposed to give a little speech.
Do.
Okay, I shall do that. I would just like to thank the superintendent of schools, our school board, and all of our administrators for the support they give to our athletic programs, the West Bend Education Foundation, and most especially, of course, the Pick family. They've been doing this for a long time. More especially Prudence Pick, who in 1991 decided it was time to honor the girls program also and award an award to the best athlete in East and the best athlete in West. And I think that was a good choice that she did that. Also, 4 years ago, Prudy, she said I can call her Prudy, introduced this award for coaches. And I talked to her at length about this. She is very committed to this and feels that it is very, very important. I want to especially thank Brian Highmark, who hired me, Aaron Felber, who was just up here. Board, I need to tell you, you made a good hire there. She's a promoter, she's a communicator, and her heart's in the right place. And she's doing a great job. And she has been very supportive of me. I want to thank the parents that I've had over the years, and I've had many, the kids I've worked with, and quite frankly, right now I'm working with their kids. And it's fun talking to some of the parents. They've gone over some of the things we used to do in practice, and I guess I was a little bit rougher in those days. I need to tell you, you have to change with the times or you don't stay with this. And my message is going to be real short: stay the course. All right? I started this in 1972. I've basically been at it about 47 years. I know I look older than that, but I'm a young guy yet. And the message I have for the board is you need to stay the course. I've watched school boards for a lot of years, and a lot of men and women run for the board. Some of them have a little axe to grind, and they think they're going to make rapid changes. And I'm here to tell you the changes don't come rapidly. Board members always get in, and they find out it's not as easy as they thought it was going to be. And I say that after having watched someone very close to me who was a board member for 28 years. My dad was a board member, and I used to listen to him complain and be excited about the exciting things that were happening. It was not easy. The same is true in coaching. You have to stay the course. If you don't stay the course, we are the examples we set for our kids and our athletes. And if we don't stay the course, how can we expect them to stay the course? It's that simple. So board members, administrators, teachers, coaches, we're all in the same game. And I just think that you have to stick with it. Sometimes a lot longer than maybe you want to get things done, but that's how it works. Thanks again. I appreciate this award, and that's all I have to say. Stay with it.
Thank you for that, Coach, and congratulations. Let's invite Kathy Nenow up here. She brought a crew with her tonight.
And we're missing quite a few. You fit over there, Kenna? Awesome. All right, good evening. Thank you for inviting us here. We're honored to be recognized by the West Bend School Board. Our first team, the West Bend Scholastic Cadets, is made up of 26 members, grades 5th through 8th, from Badger and Silverbrook. Their show, Statuesque, is performed to the song Turn to Stone, which depicts our exploration of honoring various statues in a serene garden. I, along with 6 other volunteer coaches, are so very proud of this team for making it to finals in the 2019 WGI Chicago Regional and placing 2nd in the high school division there, as well as winning the Scholastic Cadet Division of the 2019 Midwest Color Guard Circuit Championships in LaPorte, Indiana. Starting from my left, we actually have 4 3-year members. 2 weren't able to come tonight, but Jenna Ziesmer is here. Thank you, Jenna. The other 2 would be Lacey Jessman and Yadira Vasquez. Our 2-year members, and also a captain along with Jenna, is Riley Colville. Then we have Maddie Adderman, Annabelle Miller, Cheyenne Griswold, Michaela Schrader, Bella Schwagler. And that leaves 17 members that were new to our cadet team this year. From Lexi Klasinski, Elena Mans, Malika Gamisi, yay, Jayani Lewis, Olivia O'Connor, Caitlin Simmons, Marley Andre, Isabel Bly, Addie Dent, Casey Lee, Isabel Malter, Jacqueline Rogers, Ella Sipe, the twins, Ava and Ella Boyle, Izzy Markworth, and Abby Serrano. Our second team, the West Bend Scholastic Regional A High School Winter Guard, is made up of 11 members, grades 9th through 12th, from both East and West. This is the first year this team is in existence, and we are extremely proud of these girls for being silver medalists in the SRA High School Division of the 2019 Midwest Color Guard Circuit Championships. Their show, Interflections, is performed to the song You Say, and it conveys the ability to believe in your own inner strength. From my right, we have 2 first-year Winter Guard members, Kenna Culver and Mel Fry. The rest of these girls participated in our cadet program, so Lexi Mull has competed for 2 years. We have 3-year members, Delaney Younglove and Sophia Demlow. And then we have 4-year members, Anita O'Brien, Kayla Lemons, and then a conflict with orchestra concert, Annabella Walker, Nereri Cisneros, Nadia Vasquez, and Emma Kavish. And I see we have some members of our mini cadets here tonight. You guys want to go by your siblings? Go on out there. Amelia? They are part of a 12-member team that performed their show, a Mickey Mouse celebration at Lincoln Way East High School in Frankfort, Illinois. They received a standing ovation. We were so proud of them. You can go out there by them. And I'm happy to report that West Bend is well respected in the Guard community, and this is thanks to our hardworking Guard members and their supportive families. So thanks again for honoring these talented young ladies.
Wow, congratulations on a great season, ladies. That's awesome. Thanks for representing West Bend well. I'm going to turn it over to Jacob and Libby and see what's going on at the high school.
All right, good evening, board. A little bit going on in East Athletics. The West Bend boys East tennis team will be competing in their subsectional meet tomorrow at Pleasant Valley Tennis Club. They do got a good shot at going off to the sectionals, which is great to see. East Boys Golf will be competing at the Fairways of Woodside in Sussex tomorrow in their regional match after finishing 6th in conference. East Track is competing at their regional meet tonight. That's both boys and girls. It's expected that a few of them will be competing in their sectional next week Thursday, and a couple even have a chance at going to state. Girls softball is competing against Sheboygan North tomorrow in a regional matchup. On to some more school activities that are going on. Last Wednesday was the Athletic Awards Night. Students including Cooper Slosher, Matthew Clark, and Sydney Spaeth won big athletic awards for West Bend East. It's great to see that happening. And another shout out to Coach Pittens. Congratulations on your award. It's great to see. This Saturday was prom. The theme was Starry Night. It was a great time. The DJ was amazing. The set was awesome. It was a really good time to have a last senior dance. Impact for Life was 2 weeks ago. For those of you who don't know, Impact for Life is a program that the district does every 2 years, and it's done to prevent drinking and driving, doing drugs and driving, and texting and driving, along with a host of other things. I had the privilege of being a part of it this year, and it really touched me, and I know it touched a lot of people in the community as well as in the school. And it was great to see the amount of support that we had for kids pledging not to drink and drive or do dumb stuff and drive anymore, which is great. And finally, for me, West Bend Smart. You guys have heard about that a couple times now. It's our school business. We make custom and base pop sockets. If Joel wants to show, he's got a West one right here.
Got one for free because I know my buddy Jacob.
I had to gift him one for giving us the ability to be here, but yep.
It's all about who you know. About ready to drop it too.
Yep, so West Pop Socket. All the contributions this year will be going to Make-A-Wish Wisconsin, so we're estimated to be donating up to $350 to Make-A-Wish, which is amazing. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Libby.
Awesome, thank you. First, I'd like to apologize for my obnoxious coughing. It seems as if these past 2 AP weeks got the best of me. But to talk a little bit about West Athletics, boys and girls varsity track are currently competing at regionals at home right now, and they have sectionals on Thursday night at Hartford. Boys tennis have their subsectional at Pleasant Valley Tennis Club tomorrow at 8:30 a.m., so we're really excited for them. And girls soccer takes on East on Wednesday at 7 and Waukesha West on Thursday at 7, and they have another game Friday, so they've got a packed schedule. We're definitely cheering them on. And boys baseball plays Watertown on Thursday at 5. Some other activities and events going on. Forensics and Debate Nationals are this weekend in Milwaukee, so not the most exciting nationals location, but we are cheering on our qualifiers Maddie Ahmet, Sam Campbell, Rachel Granick, Chanel Kreiser, and Ray Spores. Lots going on in the music department right now, so band members will be playing in the Memorial Day Parade, and they have their awards on May 23rd. Choir awards are May 21st. Also, our West Bend Current, so our school newspaper, set an astounding record, winning 28 individual awards for articles and taking a blue ribbon for Website of the Year as a whole. So personally, I actually love looking at our school newspaper. We have some really talented writers, and they cover some very interesting things. So definitely recommend taking a look at that. The past 2 weeks were AP testing for our students, so we're excited that was over, but that was a jam-packed 2 weeks for some of us. And also, Friday, May 31st, is the grad walk, so all of the seniors will get to put their cap and gown on and walk through their elementary and middle schools. Personally, I know I'm looking forward to that, maybe even more than graduation. I think it's going to be really cute and exciting. And also, graduation is Sunday, June 9th. I'd also like to give another congratulations to all the Rolfs recipients. I know I can speak personally to Mr. Prost, who spent quite literally hours with me last year when I took AP Physics. Like, I would stay in his room until like 4:30 every day after school. So definitely very dedicated to his students. And finally, I'd like to just thank the board again for having us be a part of the board this year and being able to share everything that's going on at the high school. We love being able to show all of the exciting things going on and show our love and passion for the school. So thank you for giving us an opportunity to do that. We really did enjoy it.
Well, you guys are great, and I was going to just make sure the rest of the board knows that our next board meeting is after the two of you graduate. So this is your last board meeting. Can you take a couple of seconds and let us know what your plans are this summer or after graduation? Jacob, you want to go first, or Libby? Go ahead.
So this summer, I'll be working here in West Bend. If anyone comes down to Paradise Golf, you'll be seeing me behind the counter. But next fall, I'll be going to UW La Crosse, studying business finance, and I'm really excited to be doing that.
This summer, I have a pretty jam-packed summer, but I'll be working for the West Bend Parks and Recreation Department, which I love. I'm on my break right now at Maurice's in West Bend, so you can always visit me there. Love that job also. And I'll be traveling to Texas for FBLA Nationals, along with a couple of other things. But in the fall, I'm looking forward to attending Cornell University to pursue industrial and labor relations.
Wow, cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You two have been phenomenal. And Superintendent Kierkegaard said before this meeting, he said, I don't know if they're always this good, but these two were phenomenal. So thank you for giving so many Monday nights to being here and telling us what's going on at the high school. If there's anything any of us can do for you this summer or once you go off to college, please let us know. Don't be shy to reach out to us. And thank you very, very much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, we're going to move on to public participation. Beth Kastner is up tonight. Beth, I know you know how this works, but state your name, address, and 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, my name is Beth Kastner, and I live at 1332 Highland View Drive, and I'm a teacher at West Bend East High School, and I'm speaking tonight as a member of the Executive Board of WBEA. At this time, the WBEA asks that the district return to the policy of having teachers evaluate administrators at the end of the school year. This practice allows for some accountability on the part of administrators for the way in which they treat their staff. Currently, this accountability is missing, allowing unprofessional behavior towards staff to go unaddressed. Furthermore, we ask that teachers be given the option of filling out such an evaluation on paper and submitting it anonymously rather than having to do the evaluation electronically, which many teachers feel will be traced back to the evaluator. This allows teachers to fill out the evaluation without fear of retaliation by administrators if a teacher shares their experiences of mistreatment. And it is likely that the district would get more responses with a paper option. And the more teacher input our administrators have, the better their leadership can be. And so with that, just thank you for your attention for this important issue. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. Anybody else wishing to address the board tonight? Public participation? If not, we'll move on to our consent agenda. On the consent agenda tonight are minutes of the May 6th regular board meeting, disbursements posted to May 20th, a ratification of a contract, revenues and expenses in the aggregate July of 2018 to April of 2019, and the Head Start status report.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions on the consent agenda? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? That motion carries. In action items tonight, we will start with a donation from Delta Defense LLC and West Bend Mutual Insurance Charitable Fund to the East and West High School athletic departments for the high school weight room project. I don't know if someone is, Aaron Felber's going to handle that? All right.
All right. On behalf of both West Bend East and West Bend West Athletics, Molly was not able to be here. She's running regionals here. So I'd like to recognize and thank West Bend Mutual and Delta Defense for their continuous support and dedication to our students, staff, and community members. We are truly appreciative and grateful for your generosity, and we look forward to our new and improved weight room facilities, pending board approval of the generous donations of $50,000 from West Bend Mutual and $50,000 from Delta Defense.
Wow.
So thank you, and thank you.
I will move to accept the donations from Delta Defense LLC and West Bend Mutual Insurance Charitable Fund totaling $100,000 to the East and West High School athletic departments for the high school weight room project.
Second.
Any questions on this?
I'll just like to do a shout out to Tommy Schmidt, owner of Delta Defense, and Chris Swigert, who is an executive at West Bend Mutual. Their companies are very involved with supporting the school district and community, and this is just an example. So I know they give their time to community events as well, so their time and their companies.
Please pass along our sincere thanks to your leadership teams and all of your employees. This is a very, very nice donation and much needed in our weight room from what I understand. So thank you very, very much. Please pass along our thanks.
Would you be willing at this moment or later to do a photo op?
Let's do that in just a second.
Okay.
Any more comments or questions on the motion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, and the motion carries. Why don't we take a nice picture with Aaron, if you don't mind? We could do that right now, I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
All right. Turn my mic back on here. We decided, or I think we are leaning towards the path of having a committee of a whole set up this year as opposed to several different committees. That's something we'll vote on here in a second. But I think part of that is we've definitely decided to stick with a policy committee, and at this point, we need to officially appoint members of that committee. So,
I guess my question would be, is there anyone who has interest in serving? I have chaired that committee. I would be pleased to continue to serve on the committee, of course, depending on the board's wishes.
I would be, I would love to have you serve, and I have also been a member of the committee and would like to volunteer to stay on that committee as well. I suggested a couple of weeks ago that we have one of our new board members join the committee. I'm hoping one of you considered that and might throw your name in for it.
I'll throw my name in there.
Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to be considered on the policy committee? Now, remember, if you're not an official member of the committee, you can certainly attend the meetings, and as a board member, you can certainly speak and contribute to the meetings, but we do want to officially name 3 members to the committee.
I move to approve the appointment of Chris Swigert, Joel Ungert, and Aaron Dove to the Board Policy Committee.
Great, a motion and a second. Any questions on that? Further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
Joel, just a policy committee, if we could meet June, at our first meeting in June, we can kind of then look at the format as to, do we want to meet monthly, do we want to meet, just the whole process, what works best for you, time frame, and we might have a few policies to look at, but more than anything else, just the structural component of how we want the policy committee to go forward this year. So that first meeting in June, I'll see if Deb can send something out, and we'll schedule the time and go accordingly.
I believe that's June 10th. Great. Our next action item tonight is, like I said, and it relates to our structure of our board. And Board Policy 185 talks about, you know, we'll have a finance committee, we'll have a facilities committee, we'll have a policy committee. We've got several named committees in that board policy. As we discussed at our last board meeting, if we stick with a committee of a whole idea, we've obviously just put together our policy committee. If we want to try that this year, then we need to officially suspend Board Policy 185 for this 2019-2020 year, because that policy says that we're supposed to form these committees. So essentially, we're not going to be forming these committees. So that's what this action is to suspend Board Policy 185 so that we can continue down the path of what we discussed a couple of weeks ago of a committee of a whole structure. Any discussion or questions or thoughts on that? Is everybody still in favor of operating that way this year, giving it a shot with committee of the whole meetings and things? And our next action item is to look at the calendar on that. So if not, I will move to suspend Board Policy 185, board committees for the 2019-2020 school year, with the board utilizing an operational structure that includes a committee of a whole and policy committee.
Second.
Again, any further questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I'll bring up a discussion
Sure.
point. I want to mention that this past year, this structure was really helpful because we do have a pretty young board, and it gives everyone an opportunity to learn more about what's happening instead of separating all of us into different committees. So I just think it's worth pointing out again that it's not only more efficient, but it's also beneficial for us as board members to understand what's happening.
Very good. Any further questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. That motion carries. Up next is our 2019-2020 school board meeting calendar. And there's an attachment to that. If you open the attachment, we kind of jockeyed a few dates around at our last board meeting, and I think those have all been updated in this document. And we've got regular board meetings scheduled basically once a month, and then also committee of a whole meetings scheduled pretty much once a month as well. Before we get into a motion, I mean, we can start discussion now. One thing I was thinking about throughout the day today is we have typically had our school board meetings start at 6:30. And there's nothing on here that says we can start sooner than that. And I wondered if that was something that would work with your personal lives and work schedules, if we could consider starting meetings at, say, 6 o'clock as opposed to 6:30, or maybe even 5:30. I know Nancy, in the past, 5:30's kind of cutting it close for her, so I don't know that she would go for that. But, and that's, the meeting time is not something we are voting on here tonight. We're voting on the schedule. But any thought to just the time going forward?
No, I'd be open to an earlier start if it worked for the others.
I agree.
Would it work with the two of you? Yes, I think earlier start would be better. Even just a half an hour would be? Okay, and that's something, why don't we talk about, and obviously we'll have to post for that for our, we wouldn't necessarily start that till July anyway, because I think our next our meetings in June have already been scheduled, but keep that in mind. Oftentimes our administrators are joining us for these meetings. I think it would help them out to start even just a hair sooner, so.
I have a question about the October meeting dates. I know we were, at the last meeting, we had discussed swapping the committee of the whole and the regular board meeting, which it looks like that's happened. But for some reason, I'm recalling October 7th and 21st as the two dates we were swapping. Was there something else that came up?
That is correct. Originally, it was the 7th and the 21st. We moved it to the 28th just to give us a little bit more time after we get the data coming in from the state. To the 21st, we don't get anything until the 15th is the very earliest. So typically, we've tried to have that meeting as late as we can. So we've not only flip-flopped the committee of the whole and the date, we also moved the date back to the 28th as opposed to the 21st, just to give the business office a little more time. Just as you consider the change, we talked about it in cabinet today. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we have all of our information to Deb on the Wednesday before our regular board meeting so that we can have board docs to you on Thursday. Because if we're only going to have one official business meeting, we want you to have that information as early as you possibly can. And so Our thought, this will be kind of a learning year, learning process, but we would still do recognitions at any of the board meetings, whether it's the committee of the whole or the regular board meeting. We're going to do everything we can to keep the business out of the committee of the whole, and that will require us as the administrative team to be extremely well organized so that we don't have some last minute things come up. There might be a few, but our goal is to keep the committee of the whole strictly as an informational meeting, not as a business meeting.
Very good. I'll take a motion on this if anybody wants to move to approve this.
I move to approve the 2019-2020 school board meeting calendar as presented.
I'll second. Any more questions, thoughts, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? That motion carries. We'll move along to our elementary school report and invite our elementary school principals up to the podium tonight. Thanks for being here.
Jen Getterman was going to do the introductions, but she's not here tonight, so she asked if I would. My privilege to introduce our elementary administrative team. Andy Kasich is from McLean. Tristan Hayes is from Fair Park. John Graff is from Green Tree. Adrian Schneider is from Decorah. And last but not least, Lenny Hansen is from Jackson Elementary. And so we have a few changes that will take place for next year. As you're aware, Lenny is going to go to HR, and John is going to go to the high school. We just recently announced a new elementary principal for Green Tree, and that is Jennifer Potter. And so we're excited to have Jennifer on board as well. And so we're going to have a strong administrative team next year, just like we have a strong elementary administrative team this year. And with that, I think, Andy, I think you take it away. Are you first in charge? Oh, Lenny is. Okay. Sorry, Lenny, take it away.
Well, Mr. Kasich and I both are just here to first introduce who we are, which Don did a great job, and what we're here to share with you today. There's 5 different schools here represented, and certainly we take on a whole number of different challenges each and every day. We are very grateful to have our team, both that you see before you, as well as the team of many teachers and support staff that support everything that we accomplish at our school as a team. It's hard to really summarize everything that 5 independent schools do in a short period of time, so what we're going to do for you tonight is we are going to kind of take the general strategic plan layout that we have, kind of our different areas of learning, school culture, community engagement, safe and orderly environment, and then effective and efficient operations, and give you just a couple of highlights of that kind of overarch all of the elementary schools. We certainly do things in different ways, but at the same time, we're a highly collaborative group. We certainly have some fun times together, sharing different ideas and things like that, and we're excited to share some of those things with you here. Before we get started, the last thing that we definitely want to highlight is the variety of backgrounds and expertise that you see standing here, and what we bring to our teams back at our schools. Amongst the 5 of us, you see people represented that have taught grades between preschool, kindergarten, all the way through upper elementary, middle school, special education, pupil service experience, reading teaching experience, math teaching. We really complement each other well and depend on each other, just as our teachers do, to collaborate and learn from each other. So we're excited to share with you how we've done that. This is a summary that you can find on the West Bend School District website, and it gives you some basic information about kind of the vast scope that the elementary schools cover. Obviously, individually, we are a smaller group. Jackson Elementary is the smallest elementary school, the one that I oversee in the district, roughly 6.3% of the students in the entire district. But when you do compile all the students that the 5 of us oversee, you see that we really do comprise a large body of students, and we view it as our mission to set everyone up so that they are totally ready to move on to Silverbrook and beyond, and that with a solid foundation to achieve whatever their college or career aspirations are. So I'm going to turn it over here to Mr. Graff, who's going to talk about our work in the learning area.
So everybody always gets excited about the learning bucket. So I'm sorry I'm going to steal all the thunder from you guys, but the thing I'm going to talk about is data into action model. So last year when Jen Gennerman began, during her interview, she made a comment about data into action model. So I bought the book right away, started reading it, and it's been really transformational for our schools. All 5 elementary schools use the data into action model for our professional learning communities. Those are grade level teams. And really they go through a process of about an 8 or 9 week data cycle. It's really meant to slow down data. We often get lagging data, that's our Wisconsin school report card, but we have data that comes at us in very fast moments. So you may get your STAR data, your benchmark reading data. And so it really allows teachers to really analyze the data, notice what they see, wonder what's happening or what's going well, and then say, okay, let's go out and let's do a strategy search. Let's really utilize our coaches. Let's utilize principals, people in different buildings. I know last year when Jackson and Green Tree took it on, I often would email Lenny's team and say, hey, Mr. Hanson, what are you doing in 3rd grade? What standard are you focused on? What does your cycle look like? What mentor text are you reading? What interactive read alouds are you doing? All of those things really allow our schools to really function and collaborate. Our grade level meetings are now a lot of discussions also about, hey, what standard are you attacking? What are you going about to do that? It's a really nice process in the fact, as I said, that it slows down our data. And then at the end of about an 8-week period, the teachers are able to reflect and say, throughout the course of the 8 weeks, did we meet the goal that we wanted to? And then also sometimes say, hey, you know what, it didn't work this time, so let's go back. And I really believe this has helped in closing gaps and supporting student achievement. We started with literacy, and I know our teams are really excited about the PLC process. So that's our data into action model. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Kind of piggybacking off of that data into action model, this year was the first year in my 20-some years in the district that we have had a full-fledged coaching model within every building. And I want to hit upon that a little bit tonight. John talked about the transformational change that the data into action model brought to all the classrooms, kids, administrators, and the coaches alike. But the coaches really helped me transform as a leader in the building because we're never done learning. And so one of those things that my coach, collaborating with other coaches in the district, led by our ESC staff, has been a great asset to our buildings and will continue to be a great asset. Very simply put, I took a couple quotes from teachers, from my coach and other individuals. With changing mindsets within our district, coaching has been a great asset to our building. So much knowledge and experience has been shared. It's great that the big picture can be seen across grade levels to help move forward as a school. So that big picture is, I'm not only teaching 1st grade, I'm not only teaching 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, but it is how do we vertically align everything together. So not only does it make sense to the children, but it also makes sense to the adults. So that's super important. Our coach and her role has been a gift. Okay? I so appreciate everything that the coach has done to help expand my thinking with the structures of reading groups. So we're talking about the professional learning. We're talking about veteran teachers who are themselves going through that transformational change. Our coach is flexible, helps me hone my skills, provides me someone to bounce ideas off of to improve my instruction. She takes the time to get to know the kids, not just the skills that are in need of improvement, but really creating those relationships. So again, coaching, aligning those things vertically, aligning that with the data into action model to make things clear and concise. So that's what our coaching success has been this year. Thank you.
School culture is something that we really share a lot about. We know that, for all of the different things that we find and research in terms of, the data and action model, coaching models, things like that, they're not going to be effective if we don't have strong staff engagement. And that comes back to our responsibility shared with our staff to build a great staff culture. We were really grateful that this year we were able to roll out another staff engagement survey across the district, which we had very large participation in. And we have analyzed the results across the district, but especially at our elementary level. and found a lot of really big strengths that we think are key to why our engagement levels are so high at the elementary level. And those high engagement levels are then spilling over to cause all these other initiatives to have success as well. There were a number of highlights from the recent engagement survey. We picked out just a few here that we, both feel proud of, but also, I don't want to say we weren't surprised, but we do feel that we've created a feedback loop at our level that we should see pretty good results, and that the good results we're seeing academically are echoed by our strong staff engagement results. We share a common practice across the elementary called school culture rounding. We started it at a couple of schools as a pilot and expanded beyond there, and really it's a simple concept that's used throughout a variety of industries. It started in the healthcare industry and went out from there, but really what it is regular short meetings where we are meeting with staff and we are hearing their thoughts. What's working well? What is a way we can get better at something? Do our staff have the tools and resources they need to do their work? What do they want to learn about? And who are their colleagues that they think deserve a special recognition or pat on the back? Those might seem like really simple questions, but when you ask them of every staff member multiple times a year throughout the year, it gives us the information we need to really get the pulse on the building and see what does our staff need, so that we're not just coming down with top-down directives, but they're really feeding us what the school needs, and by responding to that, we end up with the results that you see.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you want to wait till the end for questions. Could I ask something now? Just because it circles back to something that was mentioned earlier. Could you tell me the format of the feedback? Is it face-to-face? Is it anonymous? Is it digital?
These are all face-to-face meetings, one-on-ones. So for example, this year I've conducted, I think, over 110 of them. And basically every week I send out a few sheets to people. It lists the questions so they can think about them ahead of time. We really want them to have the time to reflect on it. And then when they're ready, the staff member will schedule a time to come meet with us. And really we ask the questions, they talk, we take notes and get clarifying information. So this is different from the engagement survey, which is anonymous. And it's important that the engagement survey feedback is anonymous. This is more of a digging in, kind of drilling down opportunity for us to say, okay, we've heard that the staff want us to work on this area. Can you tell me some ways we can do that? Or what do you want that to look like? And that helps us kind of take their input to formulate solutions to issues. The other thing that's important to note about this is we meet with all staff, teachers, aides, clerical, kitchen staff, custodial. Everybody gets their opportunity to come and tell us what's going on in the building, and that is very powerful for us because there are some things that are big issues that we're like, okay, this is going to take some real hard thinking to solve this problem. There's others that are this big and we're like, listen, if you told me this 3 months ago, we could have solved it for you like that. And it just opens the door so that now, even more so than ever, staff come to us all the time like, hey, can we tweak this? Can we mess with this a little bit? And we're innovating at a much more rapid pace.
If I can add, Lenny also publishes some of that information out to his staff so they can see trends and threads that go through. I'm getting better at that. I'm not quite at Lenny's data style on that yet, but it's a good way to show a barometer of the space and the feedback. Sometimes we all get stuck in it. Am I the only one feeling this way? And if you see kind of published out, it really was eye-opening for me this year as well.
Is published for the administration or for all staff?
For all staff.
Oh, great. Okay.
It's published, but it's done anonymously. Basically, we say, here are some of the common themes coming out.
Okay. Thanks.
Good evening. So we recognize that having a safe school is really important. It's important for our families, for our community, for our students. They need to have a safe place to learn, not only to have their academics be strengthened, but behaviorally, socially. And we recognize that at our level, we start with kiddos who are 5 years old, sometimes just entering school for the first time, although now with 4K, that's been very nice to welcome those kiddos from our 4K program. But then when they get to be ready for Silverbrook, we have a very wide range of students that go through our system and at the elementary. And so it's important for us to really focus on the relationships and the language that we use with our students. And some of the things that we have been really working on is how do we talk to children about the choices that they're making? How do we empower them to have a growth mindset so that they can think about, I haven't gotten there yet, but I am definitely working on it, so that we don't get stuck. we have worked a lot on that language about it's okay to make a mistake, and we're going to keep going. We all make mistakes every day, so we want to make sure that our students know that that's not damaging, and they just need to reconcile what happened. If it was a behavior choice, correct it, whether it's through an apology or through another action, and then move on. Trauma-sensitive practices is a training that we attended. This has been a work in progress for many years. I've been in the district for 4 years now, and it's been something that we've been doing for the last several years, but more focused this last year through the grant that the district received. And each of our sites was able to send a team. And it really allowed us to really focus on what do we already have in place that's happening for our students that allows us to be trauma-sensitive. And we were really pleased to walk away thinking, you know, often we will go to trainings or whatnot, and we come back overwhelmed thinking, oh my gosh, we have so much to do. Where do we start? This was one of those times where we sat back and went, wow, we're doing really amazing things for kids. And now let's just chip away at some different things that we can help those practices be even stronger for our students. One of the examples, one of our schools is doing a soft start. So instead of students coming in and hitting the road running with learning 2 minutes after the bell rings, because some kiddos have had a really rough start to their day already, we're giving them a little bit more ease and welcoming into the building through morning meetings, through just having breakfast at a more leisurely pace instead of shovel it down in 12 minutes, or things like that. So those are some of the practices that are happening across our sites. Also, just again, back to the language that we're using with our students. How do we talk with them about the way to end a day? You know, one simple thing is, you know, kiddos leave at the end of the night, we say, have a great night, knowing we're not sending many of our students into an environment that they might enjoy. And so how do we change just our language, our sending off of those students to help them recognize that we care for them and we'll be back for them the next day. Behavior interventions and supports. All of our schools have been really fortunate to keep rising along our PBIS levels within the state, and just really working hard at focusing on those key behaviors of be safe, respectful, responsible, and ready to learn, and what does that look like and how do we show it. We each recognize those in different ways in our school, but it's something that we think that the students have a very good understanding of through our surveys with students, surveys with staff, and just the behavior in our students. I'll talk about it in a little bit later on, but just the data that we have is showing that behavior at the elementary levels is really improving. And I think it comes back to these 3 bullets. First and foremost is the relationships with kids.
All right, hi guys. I got to speak with you earlier, and first of all, shout out to the students being here. I see 5 of my previous students here, and what a good opportunity for all of you to be part of our school culture, and I think this really touches to community engagement. I'm humbled by the number of students that we reach, and I think about the families that reach and the connections that we've made. And I think really that when we talk about the elementary team, we're at a space where it is about those relationships. I've come from Silverbrook to here, and this is creating a different feel and culture for me, where now we are nurturing from their first experience to showing them and setting the foundation for what is school, what is West Bend School District like. And it's a humbling experience. Of this, our school really has a focus on how do we get those families and tell them our story for what school is, what school can be, and how to keep them part of our team. The family engagement nights are sponsored by our buildings, but they're also helped along by our PTOs, which are our foothold into our community engagement. Having active, engaged families, parents, and community members as members of our school is only further exemplified by the work that we saw, the donations from both Delta Defense and from the West Bend Insurance Company. Having our community with us is what makes what we do worthwhile, and it makes it purposeful, and it makes it something that we're all really proud to be part of. We talk about community service. All of our elementary schools have done work with different organizations, giving back to Full Shelf, being part of the Family Promise Center, being part of Casa Guadalupe, have all been important aspects of our school. Teaching our students the importance of giving back and being part of a community is fundamental and bedrock to building a whole student and building a well-rounded community. And it's not lost on any of us the importance of finding and reaching our students and their families where they are. As we continue these, we look to grow opportunities with our business partners and our school communities, and this is just a part of the collaborative nature where we look to leverage relationships and opportunities with the families that work in and among our schools. So a huge reach on that. We are finding ways to innovate and ways to reach our families through a variety of different ways. It's no longer just a once-a-month paper copy newsletter that we're sending home. In the elementary, we have tremendous ways to be responsive and reflective as far as using Remind apps, having emails, having videos sent home. It's really an excellent way to reach out, to connect, and to really be in commitment with them. We've had the opportunity of having amazing opportunities at Fair Park. We just had hosted a spaghetti dinner, and I know McLean had just did the same. We fed more than 280 people that came through our door, and that is time spent by my teachers making spaghetti and serving, and it was an amazing opportunity. We had the Kohl's Care people were there as well as being supported by the Thrive and Live Generously, and it ended up being both beneficial financially, but more so building a strong community of a place where, again, our families are welcome, but our staff feels connected and committed to the work that we do. Thank you all very much.
So another bucket on this district improvement plan is being effective and efficient. It's an important job that you have to when allocating resources for what do we use to progress monitor our students, to screen them, make sure our students are moving along the progression of learning in the way that they should. So this is our second year using STAR, and our teachers have really enjoyed that platform, and I think our students love taking the test. But what I think is what makes it necessary and powerful is that it's not just time for the students to sit at the desk, the computer for 2 different times, 3 times a year and just take a test and nothing happens with it. Our data action cycle models are very responsive. So already, like we finished up last week, my team is sitting down tomorrow morning before school to go through, they're just chomping at the bit to look at that data. How did our students do with our last cycle? Did the real attention to this standard, did it show through on this STAR test that we just took? And we are very responsive to that data now. And we do surveys of the teachers a couple of times a year so that we can see, are they getting what they need? Do they need more training? Do they feel equipped to train others? Is there anything within the platform that they want that they're unable to get? And so we can be responsive to them so that it becomes, I like stuck my pants, so that they can become, the data can be usable to them and not just wasted time for the students. And it has been very helpful for us these last 2 years to make sure that our students are on track with their learning and helps us be very responsive with the data. I mentioned earlier about our student behavior getting better, and that's not just a feeling that I have. We see it in data. We have teams that are meeting several times a month to be very responsive there as well. And so if we see, behavior on the playground is rising because now the tetherball is back or they can play football again, we can be responsive to that. We can come back to teach the rules. We can come back and make sure the students know what is appropriate play. And that allows us then to drill down to individual students as well. Going into next year, we'll have a new data system to help us with that process that I think will be a really nice tool for us, that will intertwine that academics, behavior academics, and all of that to, again, drill down right to those kids so we can do what they need.
So we're just going to wrap up with a few quick notes about results. Everything that we're saying sounds really great, but if we don't have results to back it up, it really doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of different metrics we can look at, a lot of different both quantitative and qualitative things we can look at that tell us if we're on the right track. Okay, we never hit the end point, but we want to know that we're going down the right path. For us, a couple of the really key big picture indicators that both we look at as well as the community would be those staff engagement results paired with our student achievement results. And while we have a number of ways to track student achievement, the one that's most public, most visible is the state report card based on, at our level, the Wisconsin Forward exam. I could put up for you dozens of slides of celebrations that we have from those assessments, and while it would be riveting for you to listen to it, I summarized it here in just a few points. At the top, every elementary school in the West Bend School District on the state report card scores that either exceeds expectations or significantly exceeds expectations. There are very few school districts in the entire state of Wisconsin that can say every elementary school reaches that level, and we are extremely proud of that. We also know that we have additional ways that we can grow, and we're not done. I picked out here just a few highlights from each school from our most recent state report card, and the goal here is to show not just that we are achieving at high levels, but we're achieving at high levels across the board. Whether it's achievement, and you see here McLean has the best ELA, that's reading and writing scores, in the entire county. Whether you're talking about growth, where we look at Fair Park in the top 6% of the state in math growth. Whether we're talking about closing gaps with different populations of students that we desperately need to serve. You can see between Green Tree and Jackson's results in closing those achievement gaps have been outstanding. Decorah, you'll see in math achievement, that proficiency level, outstanding. We don't want to just be good at one thing. We are not setting up Silverbrook, Badger, and our colleagues at the high schools for success if we don't get students ready in every area, both academically as well as citizens in their school. We are not setting them up for success, and we take that responsibility very seriously, and we're very proud to share some of those results with you this evening. That's the conclusion of what we've got to share tonight, unless there's any questions from anyone.
Before you ask any questions, I just wanted, it's very evident, this really is a team, and they work hard together, they collaborate, they cooperate, one common mission, and that's for all of the kids in the West Bend School District. And so I can't say enough good things about this team concept, because they truly do a phenomenal job. And so thank you, all 5 of you, for all your hard work. You do a great job, and your results are evident based on the hard work that you 5 are putting in. So thank you, as well as the entire staff. You've done a good job of bringing everybody on board in the whole process. Thank you.
Can I say something? Lenny, I really appreciate your presentation, especially since I've previously only experienced you as a principal, and I know you do such a good job with the kids and your staff at Jackson, and I have to admit I was a little disappointed that you were going to join the administration, just because I know those kids need you there, but seeing you tonight made me realize why you are going to be such a good addition, and you're still going to be a great liaison to the entire elementary school team. So
thank you.
Welcome to a different building.
Welcome to the dark side.
Yeah, we're all still in this together, but it is a change, obviously.
I do want to reiterate what Don said earlier. This is, both at the beginning and just now, this is a very strong team, and we also are very excited to bring in internal talent into the positions that John and I will be leaving, because we really do feel we've got some really excellent momentum, and the 2 people that we're bringing in are going to keep that momentum going.
That's great.
I just have one quick comment. It's been probably 8 years since my 2 children went through Green Tree, and I was in some elementary schools recently, and if you one word describe the students, they're squirrels. There's action going on all over the place. And I just want to commend actually the teachers I saw engaged, the support staff, and you principals are in the schools and communicating with everyone. So I just want to say, even commend the great job, and it's showing in the results that you're having.
Thank you very much for being here tonight. Nice presentation. Laura Jackson, I think the next couple of items under our discussion tonight, discussion items, are going to fall to you. The first being is a second reading of revised board policy 342.7, which is services for English learners. We could vote on this if we had all 7 board members here, but we don't, and so that's why it's a discussion item tonight.
So you've had a little more time to look it over and think about if you have any questions regarding the policy and the changes from our previous policy. So I just want to follow up. Are there any questions about the suggested new policy for serving our English language learners?
If not, we will bring this back on June 10th for our 3rd reading, where we will be able to vote on that no matter what.
All right, thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you.
Shelley Hyde is going to join me up here for the, keep doing that. Sorry. Shelley Krieger is going to come up and join me for this part of our agenda. And we are here to talk with you today about a textbook for Spanish 5. Spanish 5 and AP Spanish is one of our, currently our highest class in Spanish. As you know, we start with English, with Spanish and German and French at Silverbrook. And because of the work our students are doing, we are increasing. This year we have more students than we've had in recent years in Spanish 5, and looking ahead to next year. It's also time for us to look at our text. This one is connected to the previous textbooks that students will be using in earlier years. And while the dollar amount is not an amount that the board has to approve the expenditure of, it is going to be the primary resource for this course. So therefore, it will come to you next time for approval. Shelley, did you want to talk about the text at all?
Susan Sarek did a lot of investigation into, there's a new format, I think, or newer format to request textbook and material purchases. I don't know how long it took her, but she analyzed the resources, the textbook, and it scored really high on everything that our district expects from a textbook series and supplemental resources. I don't have a presentation. I'm just hoping to come here and say thank you so much, because I'm really excited to get my new book and my new materials and work on it all summer.
We've got quite a description. I don't know who put this background
Susan,
in
yeah,
board
it's a
docs, but
very in-depth
it is. So thank you for that. Are there any questions about this? This will come back on June 10th then?
Correct, and on June 10th, we'll just be asking for the approval of the purchase of this as the primary resource.
I have a question for Shelley. How many students take this class?
It depends on the year. We've had 2 sections with maybe 40-some kids in the past. One year I had 1 section with 30 students. So it's usually around 40. And next year we would, not this year, but the following year we would anticipate more, because this year I think we have, or this next year we have 6 sections of level 4, and we're moving
Okay.
up in sections.
Yep. Great.
Can I just ask a question about the Spanish progression? So the kids that, they're not in the high school yet, but the kids that started in Silverbrook and had the 2 years of Spanish in Silverbrook, and then,
We actually do have the freshmen this year starting
okay.
in 5th grade. And so I
so
have
what's the highest, because Spanish 5, they would be taking their junior year, right?
Potentially.
Yep, so we would like to add level 6, and right now we're looking at the potential of doing something called CAP through Oshkosh. Green Bay and Oshkosh both offer a program where the teacher at the high school, as long as we have our master's degree and we submit a certain syllabus that meets their expectations, students would be able to take that course, that Spanish 6, and then if, depending on the institution, if they earn usually like a B or better in that course, they would actually earn college credit. They'd have to pay for the college credit, but it's a discounted amount. So we're looking at that potentially as our, what we call our capstone course.
Okay, thank you.
The material.
One, being able to introduce that when the students coming in are ready for that gives us a lot of great opportunities. The number of credits that they can earn potentially.
Yeah, they'd be
and
earning
take to
yeah,
their
more than just taking an AP test.
correct.
They would earn way
Like
more credits if it was in
my
the
daughter
state
got
system.
9 from it, so
Yeah.
it's a very similar program to that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the
I was just looking for clarification. The materials talked about Spanish 5 and AP Spanish. Are those classes literally one and the same, or is it?
Yes, AP
They're literally one and the
Spanish is Spanish 5.
Great. Any more questions? If not, we'll see this on June 10th.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Thanks for being here, Shelley. Gracias. We. Gracias. De nada. I couldn't wait to get out of Spanish, too. I was terrible at Spanish. Dave Hamelman, I think, is up next with our revised teacher compensation plan update. Is Dave in the hall? Oh, that was good. No, it was good. It was good. Dave, is this a take this a nice way, but how long is your presentation?
It's less than 10 minutes.
Should we let these kids go home, or should
I think
we?
it's a good idea.
All right, kids, thank you very much for your kind attention. The only person allowed to sign tonight is Mr. Rebholz. Mr. Rebholz, are you ready to sign? Why don't we sign your papers quick and we'll let you get out of here, okay? I was just kidding about Mr. Rebholz. Aaron can sign too. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. See ya. Thanks for being here. See you, buddy. You're on the trap team.
Oh, nice.
Joel, you just made their day.
Good job, Joel. And no, I don't take it the wrong way at all.
I do, yeah, please, thanks. We'll get settled here again, Dave, and then we'll get
With that
going.
kind of introduction, I'm not sure how to proceed, but I will try.
I cleared the room for you.
I
Thank you very
appreciate that,
much.
yes.
All right, we're ready.
All right, thank you very much. Last month at the board meeting, we went through about a couple of hours, a little over a couple of hours of discussion about where we're headed or looking at, got some input from you on teacher compensation. What I'd like to do this evening is show you what we've done since then, kind of where we're headed. There is then going to be one more discussion with you at the next board meeting. Again, a fairly brief one regarding one particular part of teacher compensation, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. And then our hope is to be able to have a proposal. Andy and I hope to be able to have a proposal to you at the June 17th board meeting. So that's our plan, at least. So what I have given each of you should have, I've got it online as well, or up front, in front of you as well. The first 4 or 5 pages are some of the pages that I showed you a month ago. So the same thing, I just wanted to go over some of them very quickly. For instance, on this first one, how did we get where we are? The first issue is Act 10. I think you are aware of that. A more interesting one, just as important almost, is the licensing laws by the state as they changed in 2018. And some districts are really just now coming to understand that, wow, we're kind of responsible for this now. The state's kind of backed out of that. Specifically, you used to have required 6 graduate credits every 5 years in order to keep your license. And now the state has gone to just lifetime licenses. So it's really back on the individual and the district to make sure that the appropriate professional development is still continuing. These 4 people you had up here earlier tonight, these teachers, okay, been here for 30 years. They aren't teaching the same thing they did 15 or 20 years ago or even 3 years ago. Okay, that professional development, keeping up with the practice is extremely important. And we're going to talk about how we are going to weave that in, or how we are proposing to you that we weave that in to the compensation model. Okay. Currently, all teachers are required to put in a minimum of 15 hours outside of the in-service days that we have for the district in the different days of the calendar year. And we're looking at changing how we do that to a more efficient and actually more results-directed model of professional development. Because right now, it's almost more of a, well, I got to get my hours in, rather than how am I going to use this to keep up my practice. I also wanted to remind you, we had a committee that worked fairly long and hard, a number of different teachers, professionals. There were a number of issues that they decided that were important, that we kind of all agreed on were. There needs to be a clear understanding going forward. There needs to be some method of at least looking at annual pay increases. It needs to be predictable. If you're a young teacher and you're thinking about, can my wife and I or spouse and I afford to buy a house? There needs to be some predictability in what their income may be going forward, that type of thing. And for longer term, as they start longer, people putting kids through retirement, kids through college or their own retirement, how much money can I put away, that type of thing. We want to have something recognizing longevity. We want to address the 15 hours of professional development and the fact that observations and evaluations will be used to help develop the skills and needs, the skill needs of the teacher, but that will not be the sole determiner for compensation. So where do we want to be? We got to be financially and structurally sustainable model. Obviously, we want to continue to attract and retain. We want to address those compensation committee ideas when possible and practical. Professional development is really a void right now. I probably would have been a better word there instead of need. And we want to continue to recognize all of our teachers as professionals. There are three then areas, and this again is consistent with what we talked about a month ago, for salary increases: professional development, recognizing longevity and loyalty, and cost of living increases. But here's where this gets a little different from what I talked to a month ago. Professional development efforts completed by teachers, they will be voluntary and individual, and there's three areas where they can do this: graduate coursework, selected licensures, endorsements, and the micro-credentials. And I'm going to go through each one of those just in the next slides here. For graduate coursework, it will need to be in an area, and when I say this again, this is what we're looking at, so I'm looking for feedback if any of you, and Nancy, if you're reading or watching this some point in the future, any feedback that you have for us on this. But we're looking at that in graduate coursework that would have an impact on the base salary would need to be in the area they're currently endorsed in or currently teaching in. They're not always exactly the same. And also approved by TNL, Teaching and Learning. So they're going to be approved so that we aren't spending money on areas that are not going to turn into value added for our teachers. The licensure and endorsement issue. Reading and areas like reading or adaptive PE, areas that we need to have more teachers approved in those areas, certified in those areas. Dual credit, by the way, references state universities that will allow a teacher who's properly endorsed to teach a class in high school that the kids also get credit for when they start college. And that's mostly with the state universities in Wisconsin. And so obviously if we have a teacher who is endorsed and has that authorization from the universities, the state university system, that teacher is more valuable to us because they're more valuable to the kids, and what they're doing is teaching more value to the kids. Also approved by Teaching and Learning. Real quickly on the micro-credentials piece, again, it's an individual professional development experience. It's pre-approved. And again, when I say individual, these are out there that we can go to teachers and say, this is an area that we have looked at and you are approved. So a teacher doesn't wonder, gee, if I do this, is it going to count or not? They're going to know ahead of time. Here's the areas that you can choose from to look at for your professional development for the next year, for the next 3 years, whatever it might be. It will be a specific topic. For instance, there might be an area around like literacy, okay? It would be online or in groups or cohorts. And then there is a rubric where we can manage that the teacher has actually done the work required and started to use it in the classroom. It's not just watch the video for a couple of hours and check. Okay? Next page, I'll show you a little more about that. The courses, again, it's online, so how they learn the work, how they apply it in their classroom, they have to have demonstrations that go back to the rubric of that specific micro-credential. And it's like it says, each micro-credential has specific criteria to determine and to show that the teacher is now able to demonstrate that additional competency that they would have learned or picked up and they have actually used it in their classroom. So again, this is not just watching, and they have to have proof of it, where it's a video or whatever. So it's not just watching a video and checking the box. So what we're looking at is these courses. Obviously, a course will be in a particular area, and we want people to really focus on an area. We don't really want someone doing one course in literacy and then taking a break and then do another course in math or something. So what we are recommending or looking at is that the courses would stack on each other, and then once some person has reach 3 of the courses, then, or a stack in the same topic area, then that would make them eligible for a base salary increase. And we're looking, because we do have to manage the budget, of course, looking at a maximum of 1 of those stacks of 3 in a year. So that way we are not blowing the budget. And even if every single teacher, and you're not going to have that, every single teacher is not going to do all that every single year, but that's the way to manage the budget. But one of the nice things about this is if I'm a teacher and my home life is such that this isn't a really good year for me to go spend a lot of time on professional development. Whatever it is, I just had a baby or, whatever personal issues, then maybe that year they don't. But then there's another year, either earlier or later, well, I've got the time to really focus during the summer or during the school year on my professional development. So again, this is where we are headed on in that. The second area for a base increase is longevity. And we want to not lose that. One of the things that we recommended, or we talked about last time, was that we are going to go, currently the novice teachers have their first 3 years' salary set, so they know what they're going to make. This is one of the things that started about 7 or 8 years ago in most districts around the state, because people were losing people. I'm a first-year teacher, and I don't know what I'm going to make in the second or third year, and, well, this district next door said, well, we'll pay you this, okay, and your current district won't tell you. So a lot of districts started doing this, and West Bend was one of the earlier districts to start doing that. But what we're going to recommend is expanding that from 3 years to 5. Kind of a time to really make sure that we are trying as much as we can. If this person enjoys working here and likes the supervisors and likes the environment, the salary is going to actually be another factor in wanting them to stay. The longevity issue, I talked last time about potentially a extra payment. We used to call them stipends. We don't use the S word anymore. Nancy will be happy with that. We don't call them stipends anymore. We call them extra pay. But whether it's an extra pay or an increase to the base, to look at and what we're looking at is 10 years and 20 years, but what we're not really exactly sure what the exact dollars will be yet. Andy and I are still spending some time working through this. One of the issues that I need you to be aware of, which is also a part of overall compensation expense that the district has, is that, and you may not all be aware of this, in 2014, the board approved a new district early retirement plan. And that plan has been in place since then, and it is a plan that focuses on payments into 403B tax-deferred accounts. And to be eligible, though, a teacher or others too, but in this case teachers, have to be both age 57 and have 17 years of service with the district. Okay, so there's the longevity piece. And it puts a fair amount of money over the years, and after 4 years, it starts putting money into the account for the teacher, and it grows, and there's a grid to show how much that money the district puts into that account for that teacher. Now, if the teacher leaves before age 57 or 17 years, they don't get any of it, okay? So people know that. But it's designed to be basically a payment that's made to the teacher upon leaving who's had that kind of longevity and service to the district, that they can do whatever they want to with it, although the concept is there's money there to help them pay for health insurance until they turn 65, if they do decide to retire early. Okay. So, and one more statement, that's great. So what I'm planning on doing is the next board meeting, I'm going to send to you ahead of time the details of the plan so you can look at it, and then we're going to talk about it. We'll have hopefully a 15 or 20-minute session to talk about it at that next board meeting, so you can be pretty up to speed on it. And because that isn't, it's a huge expense, and it is a longevity expense that we need to remember, because when we're looking at the overall dollars available for teacher salary increases, that's part of it. So we'll talk about that at the 10th, so that when we come back with a proposal on the 17th of June, you would be not knowledgeable already, more informed about that. Tanya, question?
It's totally fine for the information to be in what you're gonna give us. You don't need to answer this right now, but will there be more details about that early retirement plan, and I guess my main question that I hope to be answered is, not necessarily right now, is that do the employees think of it as their money, or is it something that would be forfeited if they were to leave? I guess, I don't want them to think this is, I mean, if it is their money, it's their money, but if, I don't want them to get the impression that it is, if it really isn't, and, I mean, that can cause issues.
And I'm not here to make any judgmental statements at all, but I do believe that we as an administration and a board, to be honest with you too, could have done a better job since 2014 of communicating what this is and how it works. I think if you asked a lot of teachers, they're really not very knowledgeable. We send out a memo once a year giving the teachers that have over 4 years that have now started having some money placed aside. We send a memo once a year to them, just letting them know what's there. But other than that, okay, we don't communicate it very well, and I think a lot of teachers would say, what? I'm not even sure what it is. Okay, so your question is a very good one.
So just one other quick comment. I asked Chris, as treasurer of the board, to visit with Andy and I, and we're going to have that meeting real soon to talk about OPED, okay, as to where we're at, what our future looks with OPED, and not making any predetermined anything, but as soon as Andy gets the data available, and I believe he's got that available right now, then we're going to ask Chris to come in to, on behalf of the board as our treasurer, just to have that initial first conversation. We then will bring that whole conversation back to the board as to, what is the cost of OPED to the district? Is it better to be spent over here or here? What's the liability that's in place now as opposed to what will the liability be 5 years from now or 15 years from now? What was it designed for? Was it a gap for insurance, or was it a retirement, or was it both? And those are conversations that we're going to have sooner rather than later, and we'll have those before we come forward with information to the entire board.
And to that end, I think those answers will help tell the story of what it is, because sometimes when a person doesn't understand something, it's because they don't know the background, and anytime you tell something in a story format, it's easier to remember and understand.
I agree, and that's why I didn't want to go into too much detail tonight. Not that we're not able to share or want to share, just didn't have the time, but that's why we're having the next board meeting. Okay, so the third area then is of base salary increases, if you remember, was cost of living, and that is something we will need to make a determination on every year. We take a look, again, this is where we're headed, and I believe this will be in the proposal to you. We'll take a look at both the region, the entire southeast Wisconsin, and the local area, the 5 or 6 districts right around us every year, to make sure that the other areas, take a look at what the other areas are doing with the base increase, and make sure that we, some years most likely will need to do something in terms of cost of living, which can be delivered in a number of different ways across the board, percentage or dollars or different methods that can be done. But we'll need to do that because I think you will find some years that in order to, so that the teacher base as a group is not slipping competitive-wise, we need to do some cost of living adjustments as well. But again, there will be no automatic across the board increase requirements in the plan every year. There is no grid or step and lane or whatever you want to call it, as there has been in the past. So here's just kind of some possibilities where we're headed. Up to $3,000 for a graduate level degree, up to $3,000 for that licensure or the dual credit endorsement, up to $1,000 we're looking at for each one of those stacks and micro-credentials. And again, there would be a cost of living that we'll have to look at every year to see if it's appropriate or not, or necessary or not. And there will continue to be occasional market adjustments that we have to do individually. And that is, again, as a reminder, this is for the person with a master's in physics, for ability to teach AP physics, and it's something that we're not able to go find very well, and we have to pay extra in order to get that sometimes. And the market adjustments are always going to be a factor, always going to be kind of a thorn in people's sides, because not everybody gets it, not everybody feels like it's done as best as it can be, but it's something that we do have to have in a program in order to be able to attract and get the people we need to in some of those specific areas. Okay, so transition, again, we're going to not reduce any base salaries. We're going to recognize the level of attainment. That means for the current people, like right now, this year, there are people working under the current plan to reach certain levels. And they have been maybe sometimes for up to 3 years, and they're just finishing their third year now. We are going to continue to honor those commitments that have been made in terms of salaries for next year. We're going to continue to look at extra pay for like things such as national board certifications, being a mentor for new teachers to the district, that type of thing. Modifications then, we're going to look at base increases for master's degrees, licensure, endorsements, the base increase for micro-credential stacks, the novice educator for the 5 years. This does address the professional development issue. And you will be, I mean, one, if not the first, or one of the first in the state. If you look at the different comp models that are coming out by different districts right now, I've yet to see one that has said, we're doing this to address professional development that we want to not only just have happen, but we want to try and manage it as best we can for our teachers in our district and spend the dollars as best we can. Specifically, if we need focus on literacy, okay, we may need that for the next 4 or 5 years, but 5 years from now, we may need teachers to focus more on math or something else. And we are going to do a complete review of the extra payments, but again, not with the intention of trying to save money by cutting costs, but if there are some that have been in place for years that we have to take a look at, we will. And final points, it requires principals to be able to do those good observations and evaluations of teachers, to call out those that are falling behind and are not staying up with what they need to be in their practice. Teachers on a professional improvement plan or performance improvement plan, if they haven't, then they would not be eligible for an increase until they are able to get off of that plan. And again, a performance improvement plan is not necessarily designed to just set something up to be able to weed them out of the system. You know, at least 90% of the time, is, in my mind, it's to help them with the issues that are causing the concerns and get them to help them fix those issues. If they can't be fixed, then yes, it is an issue if that person just isn't an appropriate teacher for our needs. Again, professional development under the new teacher licensing laws, it will also do that. And again, it will be something that is both financially sustainable, but also administrative, so that we don't have a bearing on teachers, on principals, and that really isn't practical, that they are ever going to be able to have the time to have all these decisions made about their 15 hours of professional development now, that type of thing. That's all going to be taken care of, and they'll give the principals more time to go back, basically being principals. Okay, so again, brief OPEB, or again, other post-employment benefit, also known as the Employee Early Retirement Plan. Next board meeting, Andy and I hope to have a proposal to you at June 17th.
Dave, question for you.
Yes, sir.
On the administratively sustainable component, and forgive me if this is a ignorant rookie question, but when it comes to the professional development approval, does the district have a learning management system so it knows that I'm an elementary teacher and I'm going to go after math micro classes? It will show me what's approved in there. I don't have to come up with my own, take it to somebody to get approved.
Yes, we haven't done it yet, but because micro-credentials are new to us, but we will have a listing of micro-credentials that the teacher can go look at online and say, this I can choose from. You know, here's 100 different ones you can choose from, and I want to do 3 in this area, or in whatever area. I want to take those, work on those in the next school year.
Great, thank you.
And just one point on the sustainability. The problem now was the 15 hours, there was so much time being spent by people in the district office and at the buildings determining, did the particular work they did that really meet the needs, and trying to determine, did the work really develop them or not? Did it help them or not, or was it just putting in hours? And it was focused on hours, and you're all probably tired of me saying this, but we need to get away from, these are highly paid, salaried executive personnel people. They are professionals, and I always cringe whenever we talk about 15 minutes here or there, okay? It's not, you're annually paid professional, so we want to look at what you're doing to maintain your practice in that area.
Thank you.
Just a comment that whether it happens June 10th and 17th, or whether it happens July, none of this, what we're proposing now, will have an impact on the 1920 salaries. And so that as the board next fall, or when we find out from the governor and the legislature what our new resources will be, the board will have to make some decisions. We'll look a little bit at what's going on right now with our existing policy in place. So if they're working towards their masters, they get a master's, those will still be in place. But we won't be able to roll out the list of micro-credentials. We won't be, there's no way that any of this, even though it might be approved before the start of the 1920 school year, and it might not be. We'll see where we're at. But best case scenario, it would not go into effect until 2021 for salary compensation. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct, because the teachers, I mean, we may be able to have here's micro-credentials list in the fall that you can start working on during the next school year. You work on it next school year, so then your base pay is effective, as Don just said, in 2021.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Superintendent Kierkegaard.
Just a couple real quick comments. One is a reminder, I think maybe Libby said or Jacob did, graduation is Sunday, June 9th, and so a big event for the school. And so even if you aren't presenting, if you have an opportunity to be there, we sure like to have as many board members as possible. Last Friday, went on several different library visits. We went to Kettle Moraine, Waukesha West, and Muskego to look at schools that are good-sized schools that have buildings anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40 years old that have remodeled in recent years their library. And not that we're trying to put the cart in front of the horse. We know that West, for example, the carpet absolutely has to be replaced. It's dangerous. East is bad, West is dangerous. And so we're going to do that. What we don't want to do is to go forward one step and backwards two if we at some point in time think that we need to do some other things with the library. If we're going to look at that concept of two libraries becoming one and making it a 21st century library point of destination, we had a great opportunity. The head librarian, Ralph from West, John from East, Dave Ross, Tim Harder, and I have visited the libraries, and it truly was a excellent opportunity to see how they have transformed their libraries into a main destination for their whole school. And so that was interesting, and we'll look at our libraries when we do our tour on Friday. And so that's the next thing I have, is just a reminder that we have site visits, school visits on Friday of this week. And so we're going to start here. We're going to go to Rolfs. We'll go to Badger. I don't think we're going to have time to go to Silverbrook. And Silverbrook has been recently, that's our most recent renovations. And so in order to get all the time available, we're going to skip Silverbrook, spend a little extra time at the high school so we can be at the high school at the same time as our military signing event. And so that's that, and we'll be out there for that. And then the last one, Thursday, is the recognition night at the Columbian, and so that's an opportunity to recognize our teachers of the year, our support staff of the year, our retirees, our 25-year veterans, or some of the 30-year, 40-year veterans, and so that's on Thursday, and so hope you can make that as well.
Great, thank you for that. On Friday, I sent an email out a couple of weeks ago. Some people were asking what we should wear that day. I would say wear comfortable clothes, although, we'll be around a lot of our teachers and students, so we'll look professional, but we certainly don't need to wear shirts and ties. If you have your ID, that would be great. Wear a shirt, but don't wear the tie. I might have a jacket on with a nice shirt or something, but bring your ID so people know who you are. Any Any further questions for Don? Our schedule, we've got that retirement thing on Thursday night is really a nice event. If you can come to that, I'll see you there. Otherwise, be on time on Friday at 7:30. On our board meeting schedule, we've got a scheduled board meeting on June 10th and another one on June 17th. And those will be at 6:30 right here, but as I started earlier tonight, start thinking about if you'd like to change that start time to 6 o'clock. We won't do that for these June meetings, but maybe down the road, we can talk about that. So, any questions on what's going on calendar-wise? No? I will motion to adjourn.
Second.
Everybody wants to get out of here. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks.
This might be yours.
That is, I dropped it.